Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cherry the Geek TV. I'm Joe Vanourney. Today we are joined by Nora Zehetner, who plays Detective Young in a new serial killer thriller movie from Lionsgate. The film is called Boneyard. She stars alongside Mel Gibson, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, and Brian Van Holt. The film arrives in theaters July 5th and is available to stream on demand starting July 2nd. Nora, welcome to Cherry the Geek TV.
Thank you.
Let's
Thrilled to be here.
let's start off by talking about the film in general. Give people kind of just a general overview of what the story of Boneyard is.
It's inspired by the West Mesa murders, which happened in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where the bones were found of 12 women, mostly sex workers, and unfortunately the case is still unsolved to this day.
You played Detective Young in the film. Who is Detective Young? How does she fit into the story? And what is it about that character that kind of drew you to her and attracted you to her?
Um, well, I think she is somebody who very much wants to solve the case and cares about these women and wants to bring the killer to justice uh, and also wants to make sure that everybody's on the same page with her that she's working with. So she's kind of, I think, feels a bit on her own a lot of the time.
Now, you said, as you mentioned, the film is based on the 2009 West Mesa murders in New Mexico. The film's loosely based on that story. Is Detective Young based on a real person or a
No,
variety of different people, or is it an original character?
yeah, it's an original character.
How did you prep for the role? Did you have to do any research? Did you hang out with detectives? I kind of,
I did speak to a female detective because I do think that you know, being a woman in that world is a different thing than being a man in that world. And so it was very interesting to talk to her about what the day to day looked like, and how she felt and how she was treated, and all of those things. And that helped inform how I approached the character.
uh, Detective Young and Gail O'Grady's character in the film, who plays a FBI agent. They're the two female roles in the film. The rest of the police and detectives are all male. How the victims, yeah, as you mentioned, are all mostly sex workers, female victims. How important is it to you to have a female perspective, female detectives investigating crimes, especially crimes against women? How important is that, do you think? And in doing your research with the real life detective, what did you learn anything uh,
I
from?
think, I mean, I think it's so important. And I think especially in this situation when you have, you know, a very vulnerable subsect of the population that maybe people don't have as much empathy for. And I when I was reading about the West Mesa murders, there was a lot of speculation that there wasn't as much energy put into it over a long period of time because there wasn't as much of an appetite for it. It was easy for people to look away because these women had been cut off from their family. Some of them were teenage runaways, and that's so devastating to hear. Um, and I think that I know there was a female detective on this case who was very passionate about it and worked very hard because I think that we as women are just generally vulnerable to violence. And that's just the way things have been and continue to be. So yeah, I think it is important to have women involved in these things.
Do the male detectives respect, like in the movie, do you think that the male detectives respect Detective Young, or is it still a boys' club? And then how do you think that compares to what you learned talking with the real life female detective?
I think it's a boys' club still. I think that there are certainly sensitive men who treat women as equals, but I think that it it is typically a boys' club, and I think that uh, in the film, it is a bit.
In the film, you work with you do a lot of intense scenes with a lot of intense actors, right? And intense situations. Uh, do you ever take any of that home with you, or are you able to compartmentalize that and kind of block it as you leave the set for the day?
I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing, I think, usually. I mean, I definitely have my days and as long as the drama stays like on screen and it's never behind the scenes, as long as everybody's lovely on set, then I can kind of go like, okay, I'm home, I'm gonna meditate or I'm gonna have a glass of wine and just like relax, you know. And luckily everybody was lovely to work with. So
Well, let's talk about some of your co-stars. Your Detective Young is partnered with Detective Ortega, played by Brian Van Holt. Many of your scenes are with him. What was that relationship like
it was
working with?
great. I mean, I just met Brian on the first day going to work. And we were fast friends. We had never met before, but which I think was really good because obviously we were supposed to have a good partnership. At least, yeah. uh, Historically have a good partnership. And he's great to work with. I mean, he's a lot of fun and also great actor to go head to head with.
Let's talk about Curtis 50 Cent Jackson plays Detective or Chief Carter in the film. He's your boss. Kind of what was that working relationship
He's
like?
He's so sweet. I mean, he's just so soft-spoken. He would just come to set and he was just so focused. He was like the first person there. You know, a lot of times when somebody's like number one or number two, you're always waiting for them to show up. He was always there, and he didn't have his phone with him. He was just like, he was just lovely.
And then, of course, we have Mel Gibson, who's comes into the town to help the police officers out. Mel Gibson, one of the biggest movie stars in the world, and one of the best directors in the world. What was it like working with him? And did director Mel come out on set and kind of help guide the production along, or was he
I mean, I
mostly
think he
in?
had a lot of say in his character and dialogue, you know, prior to shooting, which is a good thing to have. And I think, yeah, I'm sure director Mail always comes on set, like like we all have that in us. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I was a fan of his growing up. He was like the biggest movie star in the world, and so it's certainly like a kick to sit across the table and act with him.
And you're starring in another film with him coming out later this year, right? The Boys of Summer. Uh,
Yeah.
Want to talk about that? Give a little preview of what we can expect from Boys of Summer.
Sure. I believe they've just retitled it Monster Summer and it's coming out in October. Um, it's about a group of young teenagers, kind of like a great coming of age story set in sort of like a Martha's Vineyard in the summertime. And something strange is happening to all their friends, and they believe there is a monster on the island. And yeah, I play Mason Thames' mom, who's a really talented young actor. And it's really lovely. It's sort of like a Goonies-esque, you know.
Oh, sounds awesome. We're almost out of time. Before we go, I'm curious. Do you have any favorite films in this genre of the same genre as Boneyard? Any serial killer films? Any thrillers? What kind of influenced you and inspired you growing up?
Seven's a good one, right?
Which one?
Seven?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good serial killer movie. That was scary. I don't know. I'm scared of everything, so
Well, you can get scared in Boneyard. The film comes out in theaters July 5th and is available to stream on demand July 2nd. Nora, thank you so much for chatting with us today on Cherry the Geek TV.
thank you. It's a pleasure.
Approximately 6 weeks ago, one of our concerned citizens came across human remains while walking our dog. We discovered the remains of 11 women and one unborn child.
We never faced anything like this. They're sending in an expert.
Chief Carter, I presume.
Hope you had a good flight, Agent Petrovick.
I read your file. You've been looking for the boogeyman. Instead, focus on the regular guy just hiding in plain sight. We put serial killers into 4 categories. First, you got your visionary. They hear voices, you know. Next, we got hedonistic. These are lust killers. After that, the power control oriented. But I don't think our guy is any of those. He's a mission-oriented killer. He thinks he's making the world a better place.
Hang on. You looking for a good time?
What do you say? You want to do this thing?
Oh, you know I do.
You telling me the serial killer can be an undercover cop?
So it could be anyone. When I looked into his eyes were dead.
He's playing God. No one can get through life without pain. My pain is deep, but it gives me purpose.
We got a predator amongst us.
The papers gave him a name.
The Bone Collector.